Like I said, I got a couple of videos anyway, so nothing super crazy, but like the most disturbing undercover documentary Iceberg.
Are you human or spirit?
22 documentaries, 7 levels. I've spent weeks digging through leaked undercover footage, forensic reports, and secret wiretaps to compile the most disturbing cases into one iceberg.
Ooh.
We'll start with unexpected betrayals and go deeper into stories so devastating you won't believe they're real.
Okay, let me see.
Level 1, Silent Exchange. In the lecture halls of West Africa's top universities, a student's GPA doesn't always depend on how hard they study. Sometimes it depends on their willingness to get intimate with their professors.
What?
For years, rumors of intimacy for grades haunted campuses in Nigeria and Ghana. But the extreme power imbalance made it impossible for students to prove they were being taken advantage of. So, to break this cycle, a team of undercover reporters from BBC Africa Eye decided to pose as students. Carrying hidden cameras, they spent months documenting a calculated culture of grooming and harassment.
What?
Now, this investigation focused on 2 of the region's most prestigious
Control your
institutions,
people in Ghana.
the University of Lagos in Nigeria and the
Sorry,
University
that was already a
of
lost
Ghana.
cause a long time ago.
One
to
of the
be honest.
primary targets was Dr. Boniface Igbenegu, a senior lecturer and a local pastor. He used his fatherly reputation and his religious status to trap young women. When an undercover reporter named Kemi, who was posing as a teenager seeking admission, met with him, Igbenegu didn't talk about academics. Instead, he demanded intimacy in exchange for his help with her university application.
What?
You're a beautiful girl. Do you know that? Eh? You are not beautiful. We are very beautiful. You are a very beautiful girl.
I could tell that the way he was talking to me was not normal.
The breaking point came
Jesus.
when Igbenegu invited Kemi to his office on a Saturday. After offering her wine and pressuring her for a cold room encounter, he became visibly aggressive when she resisted. She eventually had to lock herself in a bathroom to signal her team for an emergency extraction. The investigation also caught Professor Ransford Gyampo, a high-profile political scientist in Ghana. He was filmed using his influence to pressure a student into a relationship under the guise of quote-unquote mentorship.
Holy
While these men
fuck,
were the
dude.
faces of the scandal, the cameras also exposed the cold room itself.
The
It was a
cold
dark,
room?
music-filled space at the University of Lagos where lecturers allegedly took students to provide them with alcohol.
What?
This documentary was personal for the lead reporter, Kiki Morty, whose own dreams of becoming a doctor crumbled years earlier, all because she refused a lecturer's inappropriate demands and was forced to drop out. Kiki chose to lead this investigation to ensure other women wouldn't have to choose between their education and their safety. When the footage went live, the accused professors tried to claim their comments were just jokes or misinterpreted. However, the hidden cameras captured the lecturers explicitly linking academic favors to intimate acts. In the end, Dr. Igbenegu was fired from the university and lost his position at his church, while Professor
Did they get jail
Gyampo was
time?
suspended shortly after. The investigation triggered nationwide protests and eventually led to an anti-sexual harassment bill passed by the Nigerian Senate.
Wow.
Black market. On the surface, Mediheal Hospital is one of Kenya's most prestigious medical facilities, but a thorough investigation revealed its
It was a black
gruesome
market?
reality. German media organizations DW and Der Spiegel followed the story of 22-year-old Amon Kipruto Meli. Desperate for money to support his family, Amon was recruited by a friend who promised him $6,000 in exchange for a kidney. Thus,
Oh
the next
my-
moment, he was taken to Mediheal, where he was forced to sign legal documents written in English, a language he did not understand. These documents claimed his donation was a gift given out of kindness with no money involved. And that was the only legal way to donate an organ in Kenya. Ultimately, the promised payday was a lie. After the surgery, the brokers handed him only $4,000 before sending him home with almost no medical follow-up or recovery time. Within days, Amon collapsed, and when his mother rushed him to a different clinic, doctors delivered the devastating news that his kidney was gone and his remaining organs were now under stress.
He
Jesus.
faint, so I decided to rush him to hospital. That is where I found that he does not have one kidney.
Using hidden cameras, the documentary team
serious?
recorded recipients discussing how brokers coached them to memorize fake stories to bypass the law. While the poor donors received as little as $2,000, the wealthy recipients paid up to 200,000 euros to middlemen. The investigation revealed that this was a massive international pipeline. Donors were being flown in from Azerbaijan and Kazakhstan to meet the demand of the global elite. The corruption was so deep that a local criminal investigator told the team he feared for his life if he spoke out. He claimed
fuck
that
that,
powerful
dude.
political figures were protecting the hospital's operations. However, the evidence from the hidden cameras became too much to ignore. Following the investigation, the Kenyan Ministry of Health was forced to intervene, eventually suspending all kidney transplant services at Mediheal Hospital. Today, Amon is so physically weakened that he's not even able to perform the manual labor he once did to survive.
Yikes.
Labor of life. In Pakistan, an estimated 4 million people are trapped in debt bondage. This is a form of modern slavery where a small loan becomes a debt that can never be paid off, turning into a life sentence of hard labor. This TCM original documentary follows workers like Naveed, whose story shows how extreme the exploitation can get. After being promised a good job in the city, Naveed was drugged and woke up to find his kidney had been surgically removed.
Oh,
The
Jesus
kiln owner
Christ.
harvested his organ as payment for a long-term family debt. Basically, in this system,
Hey,
human
Jose, ¿cómo
bodies are
estás?
treated as literal collateral for loans.
This is not just the story of Naveed, but the story of around 4 million bonded laborers working in brick kilns across Pakistan.
When a worker is sold to a new kiln owner, their debt and their lives are simply transferred via a paper slip, and the worker has no legal say in the move. Even when workers are legally freed, their freedom is often a trap. The documentary revealed that while Pakistan has laws to protect these laborers, the system is paralyzed by corruption. Despite Supreme Court orders to issue Social Security cards to protect workers from being re-enslaved, kiln owners and local officials have blocked them. In one district with thousands of registered workers, only a tiny handful of cards were ever actually delivered. This left the rest without any legal identity or protection, and without that card, a worker doesn't exist in the eyes of the law. They
Wow.
are a non-person, making them easy to kidnap, exploit, and recycle back into the kilns. Despite the international attention the film brought to this specific case, the corruption in the districts meant that no kiln owners were ever prosecuted for his injury. Naveed remained within the kiln system, his health permanently compromised by the forced surgery.
That's crazy.
Trafficked organs. Mariana van Zeller has spent a major part of her life working with the world's most dangerous smugglers. But her latest target is a commodity that was infinitely more haunting. She started her journey in Turbo, Colombia, a major transit point for migrants. There, Maria came into contact with a mysterious figure known as the Recycler, and they discussed the process of human trafficking. This
This is
recycler
not surprising at
shows her
all.
graphic footage of an organ being removed in a makeshift surgical setting and claims that organs are being smuggled via go-fast boats. While Mariana was initially skeptical of the organ-stealing cartel rumors, her investigation took a darker turn when she
Well,
moved
for me, it's not really that surprising, especially if it's coming from the cartels. Come on.
to Mexico. There, she met a scout who found people willing to sell their kidneys for a few $1,000s. He then coordinates with medical professionals to run compatibility tests for wealthy clients.
This one sells kidney for $6,000. Location is Rwanda. He's 26 years old and healthy. I mean, it's just message after message. It's mostly actually from developing countries, you know, which is the really sad truth about this.
The most disturbing revelation came from a prison phone call with a cartel associate who claimed that some donors don't have a choice and are abducted specifically for their parts. It's clear that the black market isn't just a collection of back alley thugs. It's a sophisticated global supply chain involving corrupt doctors, desperate migrants, and wealthy patients.
Yes.
As for the recyclers of the world, as long as the legal waitlist remains a looming death sentence, the human body will remain a commodity to them. Betrayed. In many parts of Kenya, the idea of putting a parent in a care home is often a last resort. But for those who trusted Thogoto Care Home in Nairobi, it turned into a living nightmare. The government immediately promised to conduct spot checks and crackdowns on private care homes across the country.
God damn, this shit's
Meanwhile,
bright.
the manager of the Thogoto Care Home denied the allegations, claiming that the home was simply a struggling nonprofit with limited resources. Is that what you were sending home with workers and everything? Those limited resources? However, the images of the caning and the lack of plates were impossible to explain away. In the end, the Thogoto scandal stripped away the mask of the Kenyan care industry and exposed it as a wild west of unregulated greed.
Well, I'm not surprised, to be frankly honest. Easy solution to the problem: invest half of the money that are used for AI in the medical research facilities and medical universities in 10 years. Get working replacement organs, either cloned or artificial, like the heart, and make it cheap and accessible. Reap the dividend for eternity. Hun, you're asking way too much, to be honest. You're asking way too much there.
My life. Grace
You're expecting
Akalo
people with
was
a good
abducted
conscience to
young
do
by a
that?
rebel group called the Lord's Resistance Army. She was forced
like, that
to
shit would've been
end
done a
the
long time ago,
lives
to be
of
honest.
others her age in order to live, a tactic they used to ensure she could never go home because of the guilt. The documentary ends on a frustrating reality. For every trafficker arrested, the poverty in the region is so extreme that new criminals quickly step in to take their place. Level 3.
Oh.
Trust me.
Oh, here we go.
Christine Marie and her husband Tolga moved to a quiet Utah border town to film a simple documentary about the local religion. But no one knew they were secretly collecting evidence that would eventually bury Warren Jeffs, the prophet, for 50 years. In the wake of his imprisonment, the Fundamentalist Church of Jesus Christ was looking for a new leader. That's when Samuel Bateman, a former low-level member of the church, stepped in to fill the void. He claimed to be a prophet who received direct messages from God. To further prove his divine status, Bateman began collecting wives. He taught his group that polygamy was the only way to reach the highest level of heaven. And
my man was getting a harem? My god, dude, Jesus fucking Christ. Yes, getting many wives will make you reach the top of the heavens. I wonder why. I wonder why it'll make you reach the top parts of heaven.
As the prophet, he had the right to take the wives and daughters of other men in the sect.
What the fuck? Okay, I'm gonna be honest with you. If that fucking happened, I'm gonna be honest with you. You gotta have some stupidity logic or something to be like, I guess that should be true or so. God sent him a message, or be like, wait a minute, something's not right here. Wait a goddamn second.
Was done, he had over 20 spiritual wives,
20.
nearly half of whom were way younger than him. Convinced of his own
Christ.
power and to make the ministry look good, Bateman invited...
Dude, look at this guy's face, though. Look at this guy's face. You're like, oh yeah, baby. Look at me with my 20 wives. Oh yeah. Look at this fucking face. Look at this smug ass looking ass face. He's like biting his lip too as well.
And to make the ministry look good, Bateman invited Christine and Tolga to his inner circle. The couple captured Bateman's psychological grip on his followers in real time.
How did you go up to Samuel?
In 2019. I was 22 and nobody was getting married, our people weren't having children. Yeah. But then my parents started having children again. So I felt like it was the right thing to do.
No, I can understand that.
At the same time, Christine began picking up stories that suggested a much darker reality behind the cult's holy image. But getting proof was almost impossible, as Bateman monitored their every move, making sure Christine never had a single private moment with the suspected victims. By July 2022, the investigation hit a breakthrough. A woman named Julia Johnson began meeting Christine in secret, risking her life to confirm the physical exploitation happening behind closed doors.
It was tough for me to tell Christine how much of a fake front is being put on in her presence.
Bye.
The minute that she would leave, he would attack him with the most vulgar language and effing him and all sorts of stuff that was just disgusting.
As Julia's testimony reached the authorities, Bateman realized the walls were closing in. He decided to move his wives and their children to a remote location to hide them. But his luck finally ran out during a routine traffic stop in Arizona. Police pulled over a truck towing an enclosed, windowless trailer. And when they opened the doors, they found 3 girls trapped inside with no ventilation.
Oh my God.
They were being moved like cargo between state lines to hide them from authorities who were starting to ask questions. As federal agents moved in, Bateman scrambled, ordering his followers to wipe their encrypted signal messages and destroy evidence, but it was already too late. In 2024, Bateman pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 50 years in federal prison. Disturbingly, while survivors like Julia are slowly rebuilding their lives, Bateman still tries to run his sect from behind bars through daily phone calls.
Are you serious? The dude is still... Wow, dude, the audacity of this man. Holy shit. Nah, man, fucking lock this man up, put him in a box, and never let him go, dude. Keep that man there. Keep that man behind bars. No, 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 no. Fuck that, dude.
Save my soul. South Korea is marketed to the world as a masterpiece of modern perfection. Yet, some of the country's most iconic entertainment districts are tied to secret, illegal markets. In Save My Soul, the brothers go undercover into the heart of the country's multi-billion-dollar trafficking underworld. The documentary showed a culture where the practice of taking clients to bars to buy intimacy is a normalized part of professional networking. One survey cited in the film claims that 1 in 5 Korean men in their 20s admitted to buying intimacy at least 4 times a month.
Jesus Christ.
Through survivors like Crystal and Esther, the filmmakers uncovered a consistent pattern of recruitment. Many women were initially told they would be legitimate singers or drink pourers in luxury lounges, but once they arrived, they were trapped. Not only that, the women are manipulated into taking high-interest loans for clothes, makeup, and housing.
그러니까 처음에는 돈을 빌리고 성매매 업소에 들어가요. 근데 그 업소에서 계속 돈을 만들어내요. 어떻게 해서든.
야, 너 이거 해서 성형해. 아니면 야, 너 다른 애들은 가방 있는데 너도 하나 사야 돼 이러면서 돈을 차마 빌려줘요.
These debts often range from $21,000 to $32,000, making it
Holy
financially
cow.
impossible for them to leave without paying the traffickers back first. The brothers took hidden cameras into the notorious Miari red light district. Inside the dim venues, the footage captured a dehumanizing selection process where women are brought out and lined up like products for customers to choose from. But the most frustrating revelation wasn't the criminals' behavior, but the authorities' response. When the crew visited
Wait,
police and
what?
government officials to report what they saw, they were met with a shrug. One officer told them plainly that such services would always exist. Even the man who started the investigation, Pastor Eddie Byun,
What?
was reportedly dismissed from his church, all because the leadership felt he was over-involved and was making the community look bad. But while the institutions chose to look away, the victims chose to move forward. Today, Crystal is in college, her 2-year nightmare permanently behind her.
Jesus Christ, holy cow,
Facebook
dude.
Market. In the Philippines, the marketplace on Facebook is used to sell everything from secondhand cars to mobile phones. But a KMJS investigation led by Jessica Soho
Is this the baby
revealed
one?
an even more precious commodity up for sale. The film uncovered the investigations proved that in parts of the Philippines, a life can be given away for the cost of a mid-range smartphone. Now, these cases were disturbing, but the next levels uncover crimes beyond anything we had ever seen. So subscribe and get ready. Level 4, Undercover Doctor. Dr. Christian Jensen is one of Britain's most well-known medical figures, but to expose an industry built on psychological torment, he had to abandon his profession. He went undercover, becoming the human subject in an investigation that would break him both mentally and physically. After a young patient begged him for help to become straight, Dr. Jensen decided to find out if conversion therapy actually worked. To keep the experiment scientifically accurate, Christian started at Cornell University in New York. Using high-tech pupil dilation and arousal tests, researchers established a baseline that he was 100% gay.
Hey, Yune.
So in case you don't know it yet, give me your responses. I would say you're gay.
With that answer
Like
in
gay?
place, he traveled across the UK posing as a man desperate for a cure. The treatments he encountered ranged from bizarre to barbaric. During a $250 session with a practitioner who claimed to perform a natural MRI, Christian was told to color in a brain diagram with crayons.
What the hell?
The practitioner claimed the colors proved Christian was possessed by demons and female hormones.
What?
What?
You're possessed by demons, chat. That's why you guys are so gay. You're possessed by demons and female genes. that is possessed by gay demons. Yes, you guys are possessed by gay demons and female hormones, okay? All right?
But things turned physically dangerous when he decided to go through with aversion therapy, a practice that was common in the UK decades ago. Under medical supervision, Christian took a vomit-inducing drug while being forced to watch images of gay intimacy. The experience was so violent and humiliating that he ended the session in tears.
Humiliating and just kind of ridiculous.
The investigation reached a dark peak in a London church. Using a hidden camera, Christian filmed a deliverance session where being gay was considered a demonic possession requiring an exorcism.
What the
Are you human or spirit? Say it.
No.
Get out of him! I cast you out in Jesus' name.
After months of undergoing these
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, I remember those olden times where they think like if you are gay or like or anything of that sort of nature, it's basically like a demon coming after you. Basically, or you're possessed by a demon. You know, it's kind. I'm not gonna lie. What a weird fucking time those times were. I'm gonna be honest with you. That was a thing. Yeah, I kind of forgot about that actually. To be frankly honest, I really did forgot about that. Man, dude, what a wild, I swear. Olden times are such wild times.
cures, Christian returned to Cornell for a final test. Despite the vomiting, the exorcisms, and the coloring books, his orientation had not changed by a single %. Dr. Jessen concluded that conversion therapy is not medicine. It is a pseudoscience built on shame. The therapies did not change who he loved. They only proved how far some people will go to try to break their identity. People who believe in
I'm like, if the dude likes guys, he wants to suck some dick, let him suck some dick, Shit, man. That's all I gotta say. If a man wants to suck a penis, let him suck a penis, Be my guest. Go ahead, man. Have fun with it.
Conversion therapy are idiots and cowards and monsters.
Or like, knock yourself out,
That's all I gotta say about that. Troublemakers. For those who protested against the Chinese government, punishment wasn't always a
the
prison
Chinese
cell.
government?
Sometimes protesters were dragged into unmarked black cars and whisked into psychiatric hospitals. And though the country passed a law in 2012 meant to stop the wrongful locking up of citizens, a BBC documentary proved that the practice hadn't ended. Police were still using a tactic called Bei Jingshen Bing, which literally translates to being mentally illed. But the pressure doesn't end when a troublemaker is released. After Junji was finally let go, he was forced to keep taking the medication at home while health workers and police monitored him. A recorded phone call revealed the true threat. If he behaved strangely or posted online again, he would be immediately re-hospitalized. Junji eventually managed to flee to New Zealand. However, shortly after posting his story online, he received a threatening call warning that his family back in China would suffer if he didn't stop talking. Despite official laws prohibiting unlawful detention, the mental health system has become a permanent weapon for the state.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Holy fuck,
Hermit
man.
Kingdom. In 2006, Lisa Ling and a National Geographic crew embarked on one of the most dangerous assignments in journalism, infiltrating the Hermit Kingdom. A Hermit Kingdom is any country or society that intentionally walls itself from the rest of
North
the world.
Korea.
To get past the world's most impenetrable border, they posed as a humanitarian medical team performing cataract surgeries. Under the guise of assisting an eye surgeon named Dr.
These are some crazy fucking
they
documentaries,
intended
I'm not
to
gonna lie, to
film
be
the
honest.
country. As soon as they crossed the border, Lisa observed that every single wall was occupied by portraits of the great leaders. Government minders followed the crew every second, dictating exactly what could be filmed and who they spoke to. While the medical mission restored sight to over 1,000 people, the reality of life in Pyongyang was chilling.
How difficult is life for your mother without sight?
눈에 안 보여서 제일 안타까운 게 위대한 실현력 경영장님이고 다 이런 영상을 뵙지 못하는 게 제일 안타까워.
Lisa gained access to a government-approved apartment and found that even in the most private spaces, individual identity was erased. There were no family photos on the walls, only the portraits of the Kims, which citizens are required by law to keep prominently displayed. The most surreal moment occurred when the bandages were finally removed from the patients. Instead of thanking Dr. Ruit or the medical team that had performed the surgery, the patients ran toward the portraits of Kim Jong-il. They wept, bowed, and screamed in gratitude, thanking the dear leader for the miracle of their sight.
위대한 장군님의 덕분이구나. 우리 장군님께 위대한 연주자 김석일 원수님.
Excuse me, this is very disturbing to me, to be honest, not gonna lie.
Through Lisa's undercover lens and Laura's imprisonment, the world got to see a regime that created generations of citizens who are physically and mentally brainwashed.
Yeah, they really are.
Level 5, escaping Eritrea. To the rest of the world, the 2018 peace deal between Eritrea and Ethiopia was a historic breakthrough that ended decades of war. But inside Eritrea, that peace was a facade.
Of course.
With zero enemies at the border, the government finally had the green light to turn its full power against its own citizens. In the documentary Escaping Eritrea, PBS Frontline used secret footage smuggled out of the country. It gave us the first real look inside a place that has been a total mystery for years. In Eritrea, once you're drafted in your late teens, there is no end date. You can be forced into manual labor or military service for 20 or 30 years with no way to appeal and no right to a trial.
أنا أقولت كده أقول سرح سلزيك نسون فرحنا ينا 17 عمت كمان يتنحى خاني عسى شو عالتجير كمان سلز غيد نس فرحنا كلا نجر كامونا بنا حما سلزنا بري.
Through the secret recordings of Michael, a former prisoner, we also see the inside of Addis Ababa prison. The situation became even more dangerous during the Tigray conflict in 2020. Reports and footage showed Eritrean forces crossing the border into Ethiopia to attack refugee camps. They kidnapped people who had managed to escape years earlier and dragged them back. Even after the film came out and world leaders called for change, nothing has really shifted for the people living there. The government still forces citizens into service with no end date, and the secret prisons are still running. For thousands of families, the silence is the hardest part because they still have no idea if their loved ones are even alive.
That's sad.
The
I'm not
Mole.
gonna lie.
When 21-year-old Otto Warmbier boarded a plane for a tourist trip to Pyongyang,
I remember this
he
one.
ended
Yeah,
up
I saw this
walking
one.
into a trap of no return. In this investigative documentary, Otto Warmbier was detained at the Pyongyang airport in early 2016 for allegedly stealing a propaganda poster. His family and fellow travelers maintain that the charges were a sham, blaming inconsistent CCTV evidence.
Looking back, I definitely think that there was a plan, and he was a part of it.
Despite their claims, Otto was sentenced to 15 years of hard labor in a prison cell. While Otto was locked up, a Danish civilian named Ulrik Larsen began executing one of the most ambitious undercover operations in history. For 10 years, Larsen infiltrated the Korean Friendship Association, gaining the trust of Alejandro Caudebenos, a Spanish operative for the regime. Working with a fake investor named Mr. James, Larsen used hidden cameras to penetrate North Korea's illegal revenue streams.
Whoa.
And the footage they captured is staggering. While the regime was publicly claiming to be a victim of unfair sanctions, its representatives were making many illegal deals behind closed doors. They were offering undercover agents missiles, tanks, and even a plan to build a secret methamphetamine laboratory in Africa. In June 2017, after 17 months of captivity, North Korea finally released Otto Warmbier. Unfortunately, Otto arrived on U.S. soil in a state of unresponsive wakefulness, having suffered catastrophic brain damage, and he died just 6 days later. Following this incident, Otto's parents successfully campaigned to have North Korea put back on the list of countries that support terrorism. Whether it's a student's life or a missile sale, North Korea's regime treats everything as a transaction. And Otto's story is the ultimate warning of what happens when that transaction
I do remember
goes
this.
wrong. Tech cover. A businessman walked through the streets of Urumqi with a hidden camera, but he wasn't filming the architecture. He was documenting a city where a simple technology determined if a person would be held hostage. In China Undercover, PBS Frontline exposed what happened when the Chinese government used the world's most advanced technology to target a specific ethnic group. The focus is on Xinjiang, a province in western China that is home to the Uyghurs, a Muslim minority.
我发现的问题就是汉人和我们经过就很随便，不需要怎么检查，但是维吾尔族的人，他们要查他们的身份证。
The investigation revealed a surveillance system that gathered data from millions of sources. Every time a Uyghur person went through a street checkpoint, the system logged it.
Really?
The government even affixed QR codes to the doors of private homes. That way, when a person entered or left, they had to scan in, telling the police exactly who is inside at all times.
What the
If
hell?
the computer flagged you for
This has been debunked,
suspicious
though? Oh, was it?
behavior, you would be taken to a detention facility.
Ең басты себеп сол болды да, өйткені жаңа менің телефонымда WhatsApp болды емес пе? Жын сияқтысың ба, әйтеуір өзің түсінбейсің әрбірден соңшы.
Tell him, uncle.
Қашан шығамын мына жерден қиялдайтының сол да, қашан шығып кетеміз.
Are you sure you're not protecting for propaganda, uncle? Huh? You're trying to make sure your social credit doesn't go down? Is that what you're trying to do?
And human rights groups have estimated that around 2 million Uyghurs and other Muslim minorities have been held in these camps. In late 2019, after the world began to criticize these camps, the Chinese government claimed that everyone had
paid actors,
graduated
uncle.
and the camps were being closed. However, for many, graduation didn't mean going home. Instead, they were simply moved from prison cells directly into nearby high-security factories, and there they are now forced into coerced labor making clothes and electronics for the global market. Level 6, Malawi's harvest.
Malawi's
In the remote
harvest?
villages of northern Malawi, there's a currency more valuable than money and far more terrifying. It's called the human harvest. Ghanaian journalist Anas Aremayao Anas went undercover to find the men who trade in illegal organ trade. However, he quickly realized that the locals were already knee-deep in terror. Thus, they were ready to attack any stranger they didn't recognize. In Malawi's Human Harvest, BBC Africa Eye presents a series of gruesome rituals. In these cases, victims were missing several organs. These parts are used in a practice called muthi, a form of dark magic where people believe that human remains can bring luck to whoever owns them. To find the people responsible, Anas posed as a wealthy businessman who wanted to buy his way to a fortune. This led him to a local witch doctor named Matthias Kamanga. Using a simple camera, the investigation revealed an even more disturbing arrangement. Kamanga mentioned that younger individuals were the most sought after for these ceremonies. During a late-night meeting in a remote area, Kamanga offered to finalize the path of 2 individuals and obtain specific biological elements for a price of $8,000. The team used satellite imagery to locate the exact mountain ridge and dirt track in the video.
Satellite image?
They placed the crime near Zelevet, close to the Nigerian border. By analyzing shadows and the construction of local buildings, they narrowed the window of the murder to late March 2015. They even debunked the government's claim that the weapons were foreign by identifying them as specifically used by elite Cameroonian units. The investigation became so precise that it identified the culprits by their nicknames and real names. They linked the names Chocho and Second Class Cobra to specific soldiers in the Cameroonian army. Faced with this digital evidence, the government was forced to arrest 7 soldiers, admitting that the fake news was in fact a documented war crime.
7 soldiers were arrested, disarmed. They are under investigation.
I think
right
I remember
now.
this
I
one,
can
hearing
confirm
about
that
this
all
one.
7 of them are in prison.
Level 7.
I don't know, man. It sounds like some Chinese propaganda, in my personal
Tosh
opinion.
Despa spent years as a refugee in London, haunted by the memory of Chinese guards opening fire on a group of unarmed young travelers. He knew he had to go back to find the truth. However, when he finally slipped across the border, he discovered something even more disturbing. The younger generation who stayed behind was being erased. In Undercover in Tibet, Despa risks life in prison for spying just to show the world how the Chinese government is erasing Tibetan culture. This is a state-mandated process where the government attempts to wipe out Tibetan identity and replace it with Chinese culture and loyalty to the Communist Party. Despa posed as a tourist to bypass military checkpoints and sneaked into remote resettlement camps. The Chinese government claims these camps are modern housing built for property relief, but Despa's hidden lens reveals the truth. Thousands of nomadic families have been forced off their ancestral grasslands at gunpoint. Their livestock were confiscated, and they were moved into cramped concrete
Just enjoy the video.
blocks.
Relax.
These former herders are
It's just for
forbidden
entertainment
from moving
purposes.
freely and must rely entirely on the state for food and
Uncle's
money.
gonna report it to the CCP. 100%.
Soon, Despa meets a monk who reveals that religious leaders are forced to publicly denounce the Dalai Lama, their spiritual leader, under the threat of. He also interviews survivors who are arrested for splitism, a legal term used to punish anyone who tries to keep their culture alive. These survivors describe being beaten with electric batons and deprived of sleep until they sign documents praising the Chinese government.
So I'm with Unc. Damn. Damn.
The most horrifying discovery involves the government's control over the future of the Tibetan people. Despa meets a woman in secret who describes being forced into medical sterilization by local officials after her very first pregnancy.
Hey, Hazu.
Her testimony suggests that the state is attacking the biology of the ethnic group to ensure fewer Tibetan children are ever born. The documentary ends on a chilling realization. If this continues, the next generation of Tibetans won't even know what they've lost because the memory of who they were will have been wiped clean. Welcome to Chechnya. In the Russian Republic of Chechnya, the government's official stance is simple. Gay people do not exist. But while the state denied their lives, it also meticulously planned their deaths. In the documentary Welcome to Chechnya, director David France uses hidden cameras to follow an underground railroad.
Not allowed.
This was run by activists David Istiv and Olga Baranova. These individuals risk being assassinated to help LGBTQ+ people escape before they're killed by the police or their own families. To protect the survivors' identities, the film used a high-tech face-swapping technology that allows the audience to see human emotions without revealing the victims' real faces. For 21-year-old Anya, her family had been given a deadline to kill her
Anya?
after a relative discovered her orientation. To save her, activists had to coordinate a rapid fire escape, disguised as a simple shopping trip. This got her through the airport and out of the country just minutes before the authorities were alerted. The most harrowing moment occurred when one survivor, initially disguised as Grisha, decided to take a massive risk. His real name is Maxim Lapunov, and he became the first person to go public with his story. He removed his digital mask, revealing his real face to the world, so he could sue the Russian government for his abduction.
В общем, готовили меня к тому, что убьют. Они начали избивать палками. Каждые там минут 10-15 забегали в камеру с криками, все обвиняли, то есть, что я гей, что таких, как я, надо убивать.
His bravery provided the evidence needed for the European Court of Human Rights to find Russia responsible. Unfortunately, it also meant him and his entire family had to flee Russia forever to avoid being hunted down by Chechen hitmen.
That's why.
While some survivors might have found safety in Europe, the nightmare of their ordeal never truly ends.
That was pretty entertaining, to be honest. Oh. Oh, okay. That's pretty entertaining, to be honest. I like that. That was good. Like I said, it's just all for entertainment purposes. Don't take it too serious, man. It's just entertainment purposes at the end of the day, so. But still kind of scary and spoopy. Like I said, pretty spoopy, I'm not gonna lie. Hey, Kendrick. What's your propaganda, boo? Yeah, man, how dare they talk shit about the Hispanic people? We all know the cartels are great people, you know? They don't do no organ shenanigans. They don't steal your organs. We all know that for a fact. It's just propaganda from the US. Anyways, it's just for entertainment purposes. Don't take it too literal. That's all it is. Anyways, that's the end of the video. And honestly, ooh, spoopy. Very disturbing documentaries. Oh my god, wow. This is like super, like some of those documentaries are super old. So this is probably like the heyday days or so with documentaries. No, I wouldn't be surprised if they're still doing it now, to be honest. A lot of these, like, you know, these things that they've exposed or so. Maybe it's like underground and everything like that. Would not be surprised. Like I said, I'd be like, oh, that's still going on? It's not like I didn't know, you know? That's the only reason why. So it's just kind of, I just probably be like, oh, okay, all right, so that's still going on. All right, so anything else?